Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's episode of the Beneath the Layers podcast. This week I have my amazing and beautiful girlfriend, Daisy. And this week we'll get a little bit into who she is as a person and some of the experiences that she has throughout her life. I know some of them, but I may not know all of them, so maybe we can talk, or the conversation might come up where she talks about something that I don't even know about. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes, but if Daisy, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, my name is Daisy. I like to paint. He's the scientist in the relationship, and I lean more towards law.
Yeah.
I love to read books. I guess that's something we both have in common.
Yeah.
And, it's just something about me.
So at what age did you realize that you could actually paint? Because she's really good, by the way.
I mean, I'd have to say it started in high school when I became more involved in like my student government. I would help like create like murals for our assemblies and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And then I would just, paint by myself at home. And then I guess once COVID started, we were all locked up in our houses.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I just started painting more and more, and that's...
Wait, so you didn't really paint from leaving high school until like COVID hit, or you did paint still?
So I did, but I wasn't as consistent as, I was always busy with work and school. So once COVID hit, we were kind of stuck at home. Yeah. And that's what I spent most of my time doing.
Okay.
Just painting. I guess that was just like a way to escape like being locked up.
Yeah.
Well, but
is there like a favorite type of painting that you like to do or something like that?
I really like to do landscapes.
Okay.
That's my favorite. Or seascapes. I love the ocean.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess just nature in general.
We were in the ocean a little bit today, so if you're watching the video format, you can probably see I'm a little sunburned. Yeah. I've seen a couple of, I think I've only seen you paint in person one time.
Once,
when we
yeah.
did it together, and it was it was like, I don't really know. I'm not a painter, so I don't know what we were painting was more of a simple thing to paint. But does it tend to take you a long time to paint certain things, like a landscape, for example, or?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I guess it would just depend on, in the reference photo, like whatever I decide to paint. If it requires more detail, then that would require more time.
Yeah.
And then depending on the size of the painting that I want to do, like the painting I made you.
Yeah.
I made a Yosemite painting.
Yeah.
That took me couple hours. I'd say like 5 hours.
Yeah. Wow, and it's actually, because it's at 5 hours, and I can't really show anybody it right now, but it was kind of small. It wasn't like a big canvas or anything like that. Yeah. It was a smaller one, but so what would you say has been the biggest painting that you've ever painted, or canvas size or anything like that?
That'd probably have to be the one I did that was like 24 inches by 24 inches.
Uh-huh.
But then, yeah, that would have to be the biggest one I did. Probably took me about 5 hours to paint. But then again, if I was to do a smaller painting, it might take me the same amount of time if it requires more detail. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it just depends what it is that I'm painting. But yeah.
So I guess to dive a little bit deeper into this passion for painting that you found, I heard you mention a little bit that you used it sort of as a way of getting away or something like that, taking your mind off of other things. But so is it whenever you feel like you felt a lot of stress or something that you decided to that's when you choose to paint, or like does it just come to you? Like, do you only paint when you're feeling a little wanting to get away from the world and put yourself into your own little world and start painting, or?
Yeah, so it just depends like what mood I'm in. Sometimes if I'm really stressed like, with work or school, or when I was in school, I'd paint. Or let's say like we've gone to the beach and I've taken pictures of like the sunset or something, and that inspires me and I want to paint that.
Yeah.
So I guess it just really depends. But definitely if I'm stressed or something, overwhelmed, I guess I just like to take out my emotion and put that in the painting.
So does it like, do the types of paintings you end up doing depend on the stress or the sort of inspiration you have at that moment, do you think?
I think so. Some of the most darkest paintings that I've done, I guess, are probably like when I'm the most stressed.
Yeah.
You can just see it like in the colors that I decide to pick, or you can just like feel it, I guess. And then when I'm like the happiest when I'm painting, you can notice that too with what I choose to paint and like the colors that I pick. Yeah, I think it just all like makes sense.
Yeah. So what would you say is your darkest painting?
Like I said, I liked painting landscapes, so I have one where I painted a forest. And that one, I guess, it'd have to be like, I guess, the darkest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you remember how you were feeling in that moment?
This is like back when COVID started, a couple months in, and just feeling really overwhelmed and trapped, I guess. Was going through something at that time. You might know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you can definitely tell by the painting. I'll have to show it to you sometime.
Yeah, you haven't shown me that one. Well,
I haven't showed you a lot of my paintings.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't think you've actually showed me a lot of your paintings.
Yeah.
I ask her all the time, but,
Yeah.
she doesn't want to show me.
I always give you paintings, right?
She's made a couple for me, though, which I really appreciate, because I don't really think I have any artistic talent when it comes to painting or drawing or anything like that. So it's really cool that you do that, actually.
Thank you.
So, I mean, you said that you mentioned that you're going through something at the beginning of COVID. Do you think that was sort of your darkest moment, I guess, or have you had dark moments before that? And how did you find, or what sort of decisions did you make and progress did you make to sort of pull yourself out of those moments?
Definitely surrounding myself with my friends and my family, I think definitely helped me get out of that rut that I was in.
Yeah.
And I would say that was like one of my darkest times.
Yeah.
When you're sort of like clouded with this depression, you're not really sure what to do, or you don't even want to wake up, you just want to stay sleeping. And it definitely helped being surrounded by my loved ones and my friends, going out, hiking, doing things outdoors. That definitely helped a lot. And then painting, of course, that was like my way of escaping or whatnot. But yeah, that I definitely have to say that. Yeah.
So what would be one thing that you say has helped you the most when you're in like your darkest time, like whether it's a specific person or whether it's like a specific hobby or thing that you found to help you? Like maybe it was painting for you, but like is there something that really helped you come out of those dark moments that you had? You said that you felt depressed at a certain time in your life. Like what helped you sort of come out of that depression, or who in that case? It could be a what or a who. So what would you say for you that thing or person was?
For me, I'd have to say when I'd go out hiking during these times, just being outside by myself. I didn't even have to be in the company with anybody else, just being with myself and my thoughts and really thinking about what I was going through and just reminding myself that this was only temporary, that it was going to pass.
Yeah.
That really helped me. Just being out in nature and I guess just reflecting on myself, and that really helped.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I mean, I feel like it's very difficult for people to find what that thing is for them.
Yeah.
And especially when they're feeling like really down on themselves, you know. So I'm glad that you were able to find sort of something that helped you
Mm-hmm.
push through that moment in time.
Have you ever felt depressed, or have you ever had like a really dark moment? And
I mean, yeah, I have. You know, a lot of these moments came a lot more when I was a little bit younger than I am now, because now I sort of created a mindset
mm-hmm.
where it's not that I don't allow myself to feel down, but it's more like I recognize when a moment is dark,
yeah,
and I'm able to kind of handle it a little bit better.
Yeah.
So then by doing that, it just kind of helps me not be in a dark moment, you know, now.
Mm-hmm.
But before, I mean, like, there's plenty of times when I felt very down, and I don't know if you'd call it depressed, but at that moment in time, I would say that it felt like it was depression,
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have gone through something that's made them feel really upset or down on themselves or depressed, whatever the case might be, and they just maybe I think the first step of kind of getting out of it is recognizing it,
mm-hmm.
and sort of accepting it in a way,
Yeah.
and being like, okay, this is how I feel. Now what can I do to, you know, not feel this way anymore and go
mm-hmm.
back to feeling happy, I guess.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah.
So yeah, personally for me, it's just a lot of it was like when I was a little bit younger,
mm-hmm.
you know, so yeah. Now, I think, well, I have met you a couple years ago, but we didn't really like talk too much.
Yeah.
Right? And then we sort of reconnected, and when we reconnected, though, this was after, or were you still feeling like in your dark? Because sorry, for those who don't know, we reconnected just last year during COVID. So, did you feel like when we reconnected, did you feel like you were still in a dark moment at that moment in time, or were you already kind of out of that? And
I was already kind of out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, and then just like hanging out with you just made everything a lot better. I don't know, being with you, you make me feel really calm. So it's something I really enjoyed. I still enjoy time with you. I
make you feel calm?
Yes.
Everybody's gonna see you laughing.
It's fine.
I'm just kidding.
But yeah, I can say that I was definitely out of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I remember that at that moment when we had reconnected, I was just sort of in a transition. I feel like I was in a transition period myself.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily from a dark moment, but I feel like what I was going through at that moment in time was more of a learning moment, as if like the universe or was just trying to teach me some sort of lesson. And I feel like you came along at the perfect time to help me realize what that lesson was. And so I just want to thank you for that. Otherwise, I don't know where I would be in this particular moment in time. But yeah, so I mean, I feel like ever since we reconnected, and then ever since we ended up dating, I've just felt a lot more calm as well, happy.
Really?
And almost like if nothing else in the world really matters.
Yeah.
Except, I mean, there are things that matter, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So
yeah. It still blows my mind how we met several years ago.
Yeah.
And then we had no communication for like 3 years, and then
just about.
And just popped up into each other's lives.
Yeah. Just popped up somehow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's just, things, I feel like things just happen for a reason, so.
Yeah.
And you know me now, so it's like I'm always try to do your best to live in the present moment type of person, so when we reconnected, I was like, okay, let's just take it each day as it comes, and whatever happens will happen because it's supposed to,
Yeah.
So, never look too far ahead in the future, never look too far behind you in the past. It's just enjoy life as it is now, So, that's something that I try to tell a lot of people whenever I have conversations with them, and like sort of these deeper interconnected conversations come up.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I've noticed that has been the most common sort of, I wouldn't really call it advice, but like the thing that I tell them, that I tend to tell people the most, no matter, and everybody has different situations, right? But the thing that I end up telling people the most is like, you have to try not to look so far ahead, try not to look so far behind, and focus on today and enjoy today, because you don't want to keep, like, for example, keep looking to the future, and then you finally get there and realize you never really lived your life because you ended up right
so
there.
So focused on that, getting there.
Yeah, and so you kind of end up like, well, what now?
Yeah.
Sort of thing, And
then you do that all over again.
So, I mean, what would you say has been your most, or where you felt the most accomplished?
Where I felt the most accomplished?
You need to talk louder, babe. Yeah, where you felt the most accomplished.
Okay.
Or what's been the moment that you think you felt the most accomplished?
I'd have to say when I received my bachelor's.
Oh.
Yeah. College was really hard for me.
Yeah.
The transition, I guess, was really difficult. From high school to college, you're basically on your own. You don't have no teacher telling you get your stuff done. You have to do it yourself, and planning out your assignments, things like that. I really struggled with that for the first quarter. I got the hang of it. I had my friends help me and stuff, but I also dealt with a lot of anxiety in college.
Okay.
And I was to the point where I almost dropped out of college.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I got help for that. And so yeah, I'm really proud of myself for finishing, which is why I think that's one of my most proudest moments.
So what was the, I guess, breaking point where you felt like you were gonna drop out?
Drop out?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I kind of felt like I didn't belong there. At some point I felt like that. And so I'd just be really overwhelmed all the time in class. And so I would just question myself, like, why am I even here? But then I would just remind myself like what I wanted to do in the future. Like, oh, well, at that time I was studying biology. Completely changed. I was like, well, I want to become a doctor. And so, I just remind myself that. And, but, things change. And, I just worked through it and graduated. So, yeah. Yeah,
I think I was there.
Yes, you were.
So how was that? I mean, I know you graduated during COVID times, technically. So, did that affect you in any way, or were you still very proud and felt accomplished of that achievement? Did you want it to be something a little bit bigger, or did that kind of ruin your plans a little?
It was really different.
Yeah.
Because I spent my last quarter online. It's not how people imagine their last quarter in college to be. But yeah, I also really struggled with staying on top of my assignments and just, doing my work, just because everything's online, So that was a little difficult. And then obviously with graduation, I graduated in 2020. Yeah. So we had like an online ceremony. It's a really big accomplishment, so you'd want to walk across the stage,
That's true, yeah.
But we had that this year, which was really nice. But yeah, I guess, just the small things.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, at least you're able to walk across the state. I know even when you did that, it was a little limited. But,
Yeah.
You know, it's still something to walk across.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, as far as...
Oh, and sorry.
No, go ahead.
Don't mean to cut you off. But my parents, I think I made my parents really proud for graduating college, you know.
Yeah.
I think my mom made it to, like, elementary school, like 6th
really?
grade, yeah.
Wow.
My dad, I think he made it to, like, 11th grade.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't graduate high school. And so they always pushed, like, me and my brothers to go to college, you know, finish school. And so they were really happy that I graduated. I was also the first in my family to go to college, so that was a really big thing. Yeah. So,
me too. I was the first to go to college. I'm also the oldest, though, but neither my brother or sister are currently taking the college route right now. But, you know, everybody's different, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes college isn't for everyone, but, you know, there's some things that if you want to do them, you have to, like, go to school to do, like, to be a doctor, for example. Yeah. There's no getting out of that.
No, yeah.
But, so what would you say is, like, your goal now? Like, what are you pushing to do now that you have your degree and everything? Like, what's something that you really want to either do with that or just do in general, now that you're not in school anymore?
So for me, my ultimate goal is to go to law school. I'd like to become a lawyer someday. Right now, I'm just thinking about working, saving up some money to go into law school. I'm really interested into intellectual property. It's something that I'm really interested in. And so, you know, going into that field, something I really want to do. So, you know, I just tie that back to, like, my art and stuff. So that's something
that's true.
So that's the goal. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, from what I know, it seems like you're doing pretty great. At least you're taking in terms of working towards that goal. So I'm very proud of you. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are very proud of you as well.
Thank you.
So, is there something that you found while working in this field, in the law sort of field, that you don't really enjoy as much as you thought you might have, or something like that?
No, honestly, I really enjoy, like, the whole process of it, you know. I think it's when you find something you really like, there's really, like, no, I guess, downside to it. I mean, you are stressed sometimes, but, you know, that's the least of it, you know? But no, I really enjoy it, you know. I meet new people. We all have an interest in something, you know, so, and the same thing, I mean. And so, no, I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's another thing that I always try to tell people is, like, you know, you'll find the most happiness when you actually enjoy something that you do for a living. You know, if you're just working for the money, I feel like a lot of times
miserable.
Yeah, a lot of times you end up pretty miserable or unmotivated to even get up to go to work every day. You know, at least if there's something that you enjoy doing, you can find the motivation to just do that thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, I'm glad that you really enjoy what you're doing. That I'm sure is... Now, I mean, honestly, I would say that you're definitely... Even when I first met you, it was very easy to tell you're one of the most nicest and positive people I've ever met. And then when we reconnected again and I got to know you a lot more, it kind of just solidified that, because you're, like, extremely nice and always want to do the right thing all the time and everything, which is very admirable to a lot of people. So I'm sure, I know you have younger siblings, so I'm sure they look up to you quite a bit. It definitely seems like they do anyways. So
I know if they're watching this.
Yeah, I mean, siblings are siblings, so they'll probably never admit it. So.
It's true.
But so I know that family is really important to you. And so is that something that your parents or maybe your grandparents have kind of instilled upon you? Or is that something you kind of just found on your own?
I feel like my parents definitely instilled that in us. But then again, just growing up and seeing how our family was, I always knew that, you know, I wanted a strong bond with everybody. And, just family is really important to me. I love helping my siblings in any way that I can, and same with them. Like, they help me whenever I need advice, or especially my older brothers.
Yeah.
With all these job interviews that I've been having, I always call them for help.
Really? Yeah.
So it's really nice to have that sort of bond. So yeah.
Yeah, that's always good. And is there anything that you can give advice to in terms of someone who might not be as close to their family? I know you're really close to your family, but some people, something happens and it causes a rift in between parents and children, brothers and sisters, whatever the case might be. Is there something that you can advise someone who might be listening who is in that situation and doesn't necessarily have that family support that they maybe they want, or that they used to have, and then it just kind of something happened and it caused that rift in between? What do you think that someone in that sort of position can do to either find the support that you would otherwise get from a family or family members, or what's something that you think that could help someone in that kind of situation?
I'd have to say definitely getting that support from your friends. Sometimes friends are just like family,
Yeah.
And so definitely having the support from them, I think, would be really helpful. Yeah, that's what I'd have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot of friends that I have that I'm really close to and can talk to them about anything. So
yeah,
I think that they can definitely play that or have that family support that you would get. You think of them as family,
Yeah.
which is great. I mean, if you watch all the Fast and Furious movies, it's all about family, right? That's why the theme is family. But
no, yeah, that's true. I have friends that are the only child.
Oh yeah.
And so they tell me that that they're really glad to have me in their life. That I'm like a sister to them, so it's nice to be that support for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot. I feel like there's probably quite a bit of people out there that don't have a full family support, so I mean, it's always, I feel like if you have it, you should feel lucky and blessed that you have it, because the more support you can get for anything that you do is amazing.
Yeah.
There are some situations where you can have a family member who is very unsupportive though too, where it's like you want to do something like, no, you shouldn't do that because you're not going to be successful, or whatever the case might be. But for the most part, if you have a good family support, it's always easier to get through things.
Yeah, of course.
Or even friends, if you have a great support from your friends as well, it's always easier to get through things. And so I think that it's really great that you have both family and friends to support you.
Yeah.
And me.
And you. I have you.
Yeah, so.
You have me too.
Yeah, I do have you. Yeah. So what's like a big, I get, like, not work-wise, but like what's like a big thing that you want to accomplish just personally?
Personally?
Yeah, because there's always like that career goal or goal that everybody's wants to work towards, whether it's become a professional painter or become or a lawyer or a doctor, or just anything along those lines, the professional podcaster. But
on the right track.
But what do you think is like your own personal goal for yourself that you have, or that you want to sort of accomplish or achieve?
It's a good question. I don't think I can answer that.
You can't answer that?
No.
Like, you just don't want to share it, or?
No, I don't have any answer to it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I feel like for me personally, a personal sort of goal that I have, maybe this might help you trigger one for yourself, but like, I'm always trying to constantly become a better person, you know, in pretty much any capacity that I can, you know, helping others or helping the people that I care about really close to me. I feel like by becoming a better individual in society as well, that can rub off on the people that are closest to you. You know, for example, if you go out and you start volunteering at something very simple like a soup kitchen, all the people closest to you would see that, and they would see that you're doing something that's beneficial towards not only not just for you, like yourself, but like for a lot of other people. And I feel like people see that and they sort of get a little bit of motivation from it or inspiration from it, and might want to do something along those lines as well. Or, you know, and the more people that you can get to kind of, and then, you know, they have people that they care about that's close to them, and then they see that, so it's kind of like this domino effect of positivity in a sense. And that's kind of what I try to work towards as best as I can. Of course, some days, you know, some days are better than others, because that's just how life is.
Yeah, of course.
But you know, you just want to have more of the better days than more of the worst days, and do the best that you can to help others. And that's one reason why I started this podcast in the first place, is to do sort of that thing in a way. So I mean, that's just like a personal thing for me. Like, there's nothing that anybody from the outside can kind of help me with. Well, actually, that's not true. That's not true, because how I said I can do something like volunteer at a soup kitchen and people can see that. I can see what other people are doing around me that are good, and you know, be inspired by that. So actually, I can see myself being influenced from other people that are doing good things, you know. So I mean, that's just one thing that I like to work on more. I mean, I don't feel like I'm a terrible person. I'm just you can always be better than what you are, you know?
Of course.
So just work towards that as much as you can.
I love that.
Yeah. So you still got nothing?
No.
No, that's fine. I mean, that's something that's, like if you've never even thought about it, you don't even realize what it really is.
Yeah.
Until you actually sit down with yourself and think about it a little bit. So, but yeah, so what is something do you think that, like, you want to... Now, okay, actually, let me ask you this.
Okay.
I know that you haven't really traveled to a lot of places before. And you can go into as much detail as you want, but is there any certain reason why? Because I know that's something that you really enjoy or you really like, right? But you just haven't really done it that much. And so is there anything that has prevented you from doing that? Or, you know, what sort of reasoning do you have behind you not being able to do something that you really enjoy doing? Since we just had the conversation, like, you know, do what you enjoy doing, and, you know, you live a happy life. Yeah. So what has been sort of that one, or it could be a couple things that just kept you from doing that?
Well, for one, I would say that I've always been in school, and I've always been working. Yeah. So I think that definitely played a role, or I didn't really have time to go out and travel. But then again, you know, there's summer time.
Summer, I was about to say
there's
that. Summer vacations. You can take time off work.
No, yeah, of course. But then there's also like the aspect of, you know, money, being financially able to travel. I think also played a huge role. And then even just growing up, my family, we never really traveled. The furthest place we've ever been to is Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? So I think just seeing that, you know, my parents never really took us to all these different places, it makes me want to explore the world and see everything that I haven't seen. There's so many places I want to visit. And I
know you have a list, right?
Yeah, I have it's a long list. But yeah, school, work, not having time or the means to go, you know what I mean? But I hope that I can, soon go to as many places as I can. Gotta do it while we're young. Gotta go out while we're young.
That is true, especially if you want to do things like hiking and
yeah, exactly,
stuff like that. And it's better to do it while you're younger, but it's always, I guess it's probably harder when you're younger too.
Yeah.
Just because, like you said, the money, time, things like that. So I mean, I don't blame you for that, but I mean, as you know, I really love to travel, and I've been trying to do that as much as I can. And so, I mean, you'll come along with me wherever I go. If I do end up going somewhere, at least I'll invite you. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I can just tell you that by doing that, it has definitely changed my life in terms of just how I think about things in general, think about life and my mindset and everything. So I definitely encourage a lot of people to explore and see the world. Yeah. I know a few people, and sometimes even older people. I've talked to this older gentleman once, just randomly, back I used to live in Riverside. Randomly just ran into them, was having a conversation. I think, where was I? I think I was like at a Juice It Up or something like that. I don't know. It was a place like that. And I was just there by myself, just getting whatever. And then we're both waiting for our stuff. And I had a shirt on that said like, it's my outdoor goods shirt, which is, it just says outdoor goods, and it has like a little tree on it or whatever. Anyways, so he just was like, "Oh, I like your shirt," and I was like, "Oh yeah." I said like, I usually take this shirt when I go hiking or whatever, and the conversation started, and he was asking me about a few places that I had gone, and I told him, or he told me, like he was older too, like he looked like he was about in his at least 70s, maybe 60s, 70s. And he's like, yeah, I mean, I never really like left this area. Like I think the furthest that he said he's gone was to Vegas too, actually. But like 70 years without going anywhere really, just like only staying in like Southern California or whatever, and not really going too far past that. I mean, I couldn't imagine.
No, yeah. Like just the trip when we went to Yosemite, I've never been there before. It's just being there is insane. It makes me want to explore all the different places that I've never been to before. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yosemite is one of my favorite places, and it will always be just because that's the first place that I went to. It was just me and a couple of my friends, and we just went. We went to Yosemite. I was just like, I just texted them, was like, hey, I'm planning on going to Yosemite, are you down? And they're like, yeah.
Would you say that kind of like sparked your like your, how do you say it, like
desire for travel?
Your desire to travel.
I would say so. I definitely would say so. I mean, I read that Yosemite is a very beautiful place, but it's very different, and you can see pictures online, but it's very different than actually seeing it.
Being in person,
being in person and getting breathing in that fresh air and everything. So it's definitely different. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. You have to experience it for yourself. Like, don't just look at a picture and be like, don't just look at a picture and be like, oh, that looks cool, but just it's
being there.
Being there is completely different.
Yeah.
Being there's completely different. And I don't mind going to places by myself. Like, I could probably take a trip to Yosemite by myself and have a great time. But it's just the feeling of sharing that experience with someone else, whether it's one person, whether it's 8 people at one time, that doesn't really matter. But like, seeing the look on other people's faces when they're put into these beautiful places is really, really, it makes me happy to see everybody's eyes light up and like all the, because it's always feel good feelings. It's never like anything terrible. Like you can be going through the worst thing that you could possibly go through, and you go to a place like that, and like the aurora around you, everything, the vibe, if that's what you want to call it, just completely changes, and
it does.
You're immersed in this reality that you could never imagine. So I mean, it's just great. And so that's why that's one thing that I really like about you as well, that you enjoy that stuff too, even though you haven't really been there. But taking you to a place that you haven't been, even if I haven't been there or have been there, and just seeing the way that your eyes light up or how you react is just it's like me going there for the first time again. So it's great. I mean, and then there will be some places that we'll experience together for the first time, and I think that'll be great too.
I think so too.
So I mean, all of that is just amazing. It's amazing, and I highly encourage anybody listening, if you're on that verge of just going to a place like that or going somewhere, like, do it, because I guarantee you won't regret it.
Yeah.
Even if you've never been to Vegas and you've always wanted to go to Vegas, I say you take that trip.
Yeah, even if you have no one to go, just go by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, the news will tell you that the world is a very, very dangerous place, but in reality, you'll find that most people are a little bit nicer than what they're portrayed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so I never really judge people based off of what others tell you,
Yeah.
But anyways, that's a different that's a different topic, but yeah, so.
Is there any place in specific that you want to travel to anytime soon?
I actually really want to travel to another country. I've only been out of the country, well, I guess twice, but I don't know. I don't really count Mexico. Maybe if I don't count Mexico because I don't feel like I've went deep enough into it. Like it was more of Ensenada. Yeah. It's like where the farthest I went. So I mean, so I guess it's like Baja California or whatever. So I don't really necessarily count that.
Yeah. I
don't know, but if I was to go somewhere like Cancun or Mexico City or just someplace like that, then I'd be okay. Like I've been there, and then I went to England, and so I definitely another country is on the top of my list. I don't know which one. Actually I do. Which one would depend on the time of year, I think. Yeah. So. Okay. Because during the winter I'd want to go somewhere in the southern hemisphere, maybe Australia. That'd be cool.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, and then like during the summer it can go, I don't know, somewhere in Europe or something like that. Italy or Greece. Yeah. That would be amazing.
Yeah, that would.
What about you? Do you have anywhere that you in particular you want to go, like kind of first maybe? Like what's like, if you had the money to go, like this is the first place you would go?
Italy.
Italy?
Italy's on the top of my list, yeah. Wow. Yeah, for sure. Italy.
Well, I guess technically we do have the money to go, but right now it's a little difficult because of COVID.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the first place I'd want to go to. Outside
Italy.
Of the country. Yeah, Italy.
Like, so I really want to go to Italy too. This is going to be funny for you, but I always thought Italy was cool or whatever, but I played this video game called Assassin's Creed. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
I've heard of it, yeah.
And like, there's a good trilogy of the games based in Italy, and just looking through the game at the architecture that was in that time period or whatever, it looked amazing to me. And I was like, I really want to go to Italy, but I would have never have known where to go.
Oh, okay.
Until the video game. Like, I mean, of course it's like, go to Italy, go to Rome, sort of thing, and like, but now it's like I want to go to Rome, Florence, Venice, Naples, all these like different little cities. I think that'd be really cool. Probably really expensive, but really cool.
That'd be really cool. It's such a cool experience, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That'd be really fun.
Why Italy for you?
Honestly, just seeing the pictures. I think just how beautiful it is. I would like to experience that in person, see it firsthand.
So do you like, is that how you find the places you want to go, is just by looking at pictures, or is it places that people have told you that you should go, or?
Yeah, pictures.
Just
pictures.
Do you just
or
look up Italy? And like
No. So like if I'm on Instagram or travel pages pop up. TikTok. Travel TikTok.
She's a big TikToker, everybody. Yep. Go follow her.
Yeah, TikTok, Instagram, or friends tell me the places they've been to or places that they've heard of. Even in movies.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that also plays a role in like what places I want to visit.
I have a really quick question. Like, what's the most? So you enjoy nature, right? But like, what do you enjoy about it? Because I feel like you can definitely see a picture of nature and be like, oh, that looks really nice. But like the first time you went and found yourself within nature, like what was it about nature that you kind of fell in love with?
That everything is just so calm and peaceful. And, you can have so much going on in your head. But when you're in a place like that, everything just seems to change. But yeah, just hearing the birds, the wind blowing, it's just amazing. I love that. And so, just being there in peace and quiet, I love that.
The tranquility.
There we go. There we go. Yeah.
So there's I'm sure you know this by now, but one question that I really like to ask people that join my podcast, do you consider yourself to be a happy person and also living a happy life currently?
Yeah, I think so. There's so much to be happy about, and especially coming out of, I guess, the dark place last year. There's so much that I'm grateful for, and just so much to be happy about. My family, my friends.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Me, maybe?
You, of course.
Wow.
Of course, you. But it's just, I consider myself to be happy.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really glad that you're happy. I think that's something that's really important to recognize, right? That you are living a happy life, or you yourself are happy. Because that can rub off on people, right?
Yeah.
But what would you say, or let me put it this way. How do you know that you're happy?
How do I know that I'm happy?
Yeah. You say you're happy, right? And that you're living a happy life, but like, how do you know that? Is there something that you can share with those listening that you realized what happiness is for you?
Well, like I said, last year it was really hard for me. I guess just I have a different mindset than I did last year. So for me, I think I'm a lot more positive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot more positive. Just being grateful for even like the smallest, like being alive, you know what I mean? Waking up every day, seeing your loved ones, seeing your siblings, like those small things, that before you wouldn't really, well, for me, it's something that I guess I would take for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I guess going through that rough patch that I had last year just made me realize how important these things are. And it just, that just shows just how much happier I am.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I'm really happy that you can recognize it and realize that yeah, I am happy sort of thing, you know?
Yeah.
So me and you have been together now for about half a year now. And I consider us to have a pretty healthy relationship, probably the healthiest relationship that I've ever had.
Me too.
And so, like, what do you do to maintain that on your side or your end of the relationship? Like, what do you like to have so that you keep the relationship healthy and happy, you know?
I definitely have to say communication.
Mm-hmm.
You know, whenever something's wrong or, you know, if something's bothering us, we tell each other. That way, like, we don't shut the other person out and just make them wonder, like, what's happening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's really important in creating a healthy relationship. And I think that's something we have.
Yeah.
We definitely talk a lot about, like, our feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely communicating. What about you?
That's your number one thing? Is communication.
Number one thing, communication.
I mean, I would just pretty much say the same thing.
Can't copy my answer.
I know, but
come on.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, you definitely really communicate our feelings for the most part, you know, and you know, there are times when maybe you might need a little bit of space and we'll just give that to each other, but we'll end up communicating. The space is never that long because I think we both understand each other, you know, for the most part. But we're always able to talk things out. Honestly, there hasn't really been too much that has, you know, made you or me upset. It's just, you know, things will always happen from time to time.
Of course.
And then, you know, it's just talking them through. I think that's really important rather than letting them linger. Because then that just builds up to more and more. You know, but other than that, I would say my number one thing is trust.
Trust.
I definitely 100% have trust in you. So it's like, you know, it feels really good to be able to trust your significant other.
That's really important.
Yeah. So, I mean, is that some advice you would give to somebody who might be having some issues in their relationship, is just to maintain communication and trust? Or
yeah, of course. I think trust is a big thing, you know. Communication too.
So, like, let's say that somebody has kind of lost some trust in their significant other. Let's just say that as a hypothetical. What is, like, something you would tell them, you know, in terms of, because for me personally, I feel like it's very, very hard for, like, once I trust somebody 100% and they sort of break it a little bit, it's very, very difficult for me to kind of trust them 100% again, you know. So, like, what would you say to somebody who might be in that sort of position or predicament?
Yeah, so I have some experience with this. But like we mentioned, you know, trust and communication. If you somehow notice that you aren't as trusting, or how do you say that? Like, you're not as
trusting.
Yeah, trusting of your partner. You know, just reach out to them, talk to them, try to talk things out and see what it is that you know, is going on between the two of you. And then you go from there, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's communication. You have to communicate with one another.
Yeah, and I feel like one thing that a lot of people struggle with, and this is sort of one thing that I had to learn myself, is to when to let go. Because it's very difficult to, you know, especially when you have a lot of, I guess, history with somebody. It makes it a lot more difficult to let somebody go when you need to. But I think that if you're able to do that when you have to, and you can make that decision to do that, I feel like that's already one big step in the right direction towards progressing and finding the person or the people who make you happy, you know, the right person, let's say. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, of course.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
It's about time.
Wow. Yeah, but I'm sure we'll probably have you on again sometime, and we can talk a little bit more about. There's a lot of things that we talked a lot about traveling and nature and things like that.
Maybe once we start traveling, we can.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we already. Well, we went
like
to
if we go to Italy.
That'll be cool. Yeah. So I mean, we'll definitely have you back on, and we'll talk a little bit more about other things probably.
Yeah.
So, but thank you.
Of course. Thank you for having me, babe.
Of course. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.